So who are you, really? I want to run a thought experiment with you. I want you to imagine that whoever you are, that when you were born, say the same parents you have at birth, for whatever reason, for the sake of this experiment, you were taken from your parents and you were adopted by a family on the opposite side of the world. Let's go with Japan. Let's say you're an American child, and at birth, you are transported to Japan. And you live in a Japanese family that loves you and cares for you and takes care of you just like you are one of their own, because as far as they're concerned, you are. How quickly and how well would you learn the Japanese language? The answer is just the same as anybody else, any other Japanese person who was ever born in that country. You will learn the language just as easy. Period. It's a fact. That's why children can learn multiple languages when they're young if they're spoken within the home and never forget them and stay fluent in them. It's the nature of the beast. So now I want you to think about how, because that's true, when you are taken and you are raised in another world, you can see how things would have been a little different for you. You would have been raised in Japanese culture and you would have liked Japanese food and so forth. But now with that awareness, I want you to try to differentiate the parts of you that are you versus the parts of you that have been put on you through exposure. Begin to create that separation. Put yourself in your mind's eye in that other family's reality and how you would be raised and what you would be thinking. And then try to find the parts of you that you knew were always who you were as you were learning about the world. You had a natural temperament that it didn't matter where you were born or where you ended up and being raised, but there was going to be a particular lens through which you viewed the world. And it's a lot easier to differentiate that lens from your conditioning and programming when you do this thought experiment and put yourself in another reality and realize, okay, if I was there, yes, there would be a million things that would be different about me. But what would be the things that would be the same? What is that part of me that I just know this is who I've always been? Not who you became to survive. And not who your job, your family, your culture, your past or pain told you that you had to be. But who are you underneath all of that? You see, we've talked about this before, but most people live on autopilot. They do not stop to study themselves. They react, repeat, defend, avoid, perform, and drift. They assume their way of seeing life is just normal. They rarely ask, where are their thoughts, reactions, desires, fears, or habits, where they came from? Where is this coming up from? They live from programming that they have never stopped to question. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to reverse engineer the program, find out what our innate nature is, who we've become through the nurturing that took place, and then recalibrate and decide who we want to be, who we want to intentionally become. So who are you really? One of the greatest misconceptions is that we're all human, so we all think alike. Yeah, sure, we're all different. We got different personalities, but for the most part, we all think alike. That couldn't be farther from the truth. One of the biggest misconceptions is that because we're all human, we all process life the same way. Not true. People do not all think the same way. People do not make decisions the same way. People do not handle emotion, conflict, pressure, structure, freedom, risk, intimacy, or purpose the same way. Your internal operating system may be radically different from someone else's. It is radically different. You are so unique that it's almost incomprehensible. But most people believe that they're much more like people than they are different. And there's a little bit of truth in that because we are way more alike than we are different, but those differences make us way more unalike. We could have 90% of the same attributes. It's the 10% that makes us completely different people. So who are you underneath all of that? That's what you need to ask yourself. Now, in the next video, we're going to get into talking about why we're going to be using these personality tests as the foundation of the work that we're doing here. So with that being said, we're all done here. You keep asking yourself, who am I? And I'll see you on the next video.